Good evening, fuckers. We are back once again with the next Train Simulator Classic request video, and yeah, it's attempt 2 of this freight run. We are on the South Devon main line. We are going from Taunton to Plymouth, and well, hopefully we'll be able to make it this time. However, I don't think we are going to. See, I could not decide which loco to use for my second attempt, and I decided to put it to a vote on the channel. So the poll went up, and I stupidly, did not make all of the options freight specialist locos. 3 of the 4 options were freight specialists, the class 20, the class 56 and the class 60. So we're in the loco that won the poll, which is the class 47. Now the 47 is a really good all-rounder, but that's the problem. It's an all-rounder. It's not specialist, in freight moving. So we are specifically in the 47/7, the GBR freight liveried 47794. Yes, I know it's a fictional one. So we're going to see how this does. Now, the freight that we are moving is different. So yeah, we only have 7 freight wagons this time, not 20, and they have a lot more weight in them. Now that might help in some areas, but it's certainly not going to help in others. For one thing, going up steep gradients is not going to be as easy as it was in the first attempt, but nevertheless, we'll still give it a try. I'll tell you now, I do not think we are going to succeed, but I'm not going to deliberately fail it. I do want to be able to actually do this run. Now, as far as the specifics, it's exactly the same as they were in attempt 1. So it is spring, it is cloudy, and it is 10 AM. So let's get this show on the road. And here we are. I will point out just quickly that it's the livery that's fictional. Yes, there was a class 47/7 variant, but there was not a loco with number 47794. I do really like that GBR freight livery. And this is the only loco at the time of recording that I have with this livery. I really do want to get others, but at the moment I can't. So this is what we are pulling. 7 of these rather large aggregate hoppers. They are all full, so the weight is considerable. And even though we have, we are pulling almost 1/3 the number, it is definitely going to be more difficult as far as going uphill, because there is a lot more weight in these things. So as before, we are heading to Plymouth station, 82.69 miles away. Unfortunately, with this route, I've got to do it all or nothing. with quick drive, you either start at Taunton or you start at Plymouth. You've got no other options. So yeah, we've got to do the full thing. And believe me, I wanted to start somewhere a damn sight closer than this, but nevertheless, let's get underway. So just as before, no stops along the way, no need to with a freight train. What a glorious sight. I do like the 47s, I love the 47 in this livery. I wish there were some of them out there, but nope. There are class 69s with this livery, and they are basically, yeah, very heavily upgraded class 56s, and the 56 is basically a class 47 with a hefty dose of steroids. So we are in a 50 mph zone, very soon in a 100 zone. So for a reasonable amount of this route, we can be a bit reckless. In fact, we'll take it up to full throttle. I think because of the weight of the freight that we are pulling, I would not have been able to just put it straight into full throttle. I would have needed to well, do what I did and have a sort of like gradually easing up to that speed. So with a bit of luck, we will not be stationary again until we reach Plymouth itself. That is, of course, assuming we manage to get there. So in attempt 1, I got, yeah, I was 5.83 miles away when every single one of the bolsters derailed. A good chunk of them ended up upside down, so I mean, at least it's not going to be quite as catastrophic this time if we derail. I mean, it'll still be bad enough, but one thing I do know is that if I fail this one, the next attempt, I'm choosing the loco, because, yeah, I'm going on the fairly safe assumption that everyone who voted in the poll, it was only 7, but that's more than I was expecting. The other 3 options all got 1 vote each, and yeah, the class 47 got 4. Now I am 99.9% certain that Mick DC was one of the people who voted for the class 47, but he voted for it because he's a big fan of the 47. But I think everybody else who voted for it did so because they knew it was not a freight specialist, whereas the other 3 options were, and this was therefore going to be the most difficult of the trains to use on this run. So top speed of this thing is 95, see right there. So while we are on this 100 section, we've got nothing to worry about as far as top speed. As it is, there is no way we are going to be getting anywhere near 95 pulling this kind of load. I mean, our acceleration rate is none too great at the moment, we're only doing 68. other thing is, this would actually be quite a good run to do in a, you know, with a passenger service. Wouldn't be anywhere near as difficult either, I think. In fact, I'm pretty sure I know a request that is coming. They're just waiting for me to have the 2 DLC that I'm currently lacking for them to actually make the request. And that does mean that I will be doing well, it'll be the other way round, but I will be doing Plymouth to, I don't know yet if I'll do Plymouth to Exeter or Plymouth to Taunton. It'll be one of the two. We're up to 79 mph. This uphill gradient that we are fast approaching, it looks like it's steeper than the one in 288 that we're currently on. Yep, it is. So it's now 1 in 133. And we are losing speed despite the fact that we are at full throttle. I think this is going to be the big problem with this particular run, is that yeah, we're going to have a decent amount of speed as we hit these uphill gradients, as it's now 1 in 90, because we'll be losing speed quite a bit as we go up them. So I can't take it as easily as I did in the first attempt, because that means I'm not going to have very much speed. I can't afford to lose any while going up these gradients. So yeah, I really don't know how I'm going to approach this. Now 1 in 80, not sure how long it's been 1 in 80, probably a while. First tunnel coming up. I think we are still in the tunnel when we reach the summit. still climbing. It's 1 in 203. It didn't level out as much as I thought it was going to. Now we are going downhill. 1 in 115. Let's coast the downhill section. Actually, we're losing speed if we coast. Well, we're still on a 100 mph section, so okay. Tiverton station is 1.5 miles away. Tiverton Parkway, I should say. But I think we're going to be fine until the moment that we come off the Riviera line. That is going to be where the problems start. So here we are at Tiverton station. See if we can get a trackside views. No. Oh, we'll try again a bit later. Looks really dodgy, that bit. So approaching Tiverton Junction. More like a lot of passing loops and freight sidings rather than an actual junction. Still, I can't claim to have superior knowledge of the area than whoever it was that coded this. However, unlike the person who did code this, I do know that viaducts don't tend to float in the air. Only thing I don't like about this route. Everything else about it I think is great, but I do wish they'd got the viaducts done right, especially as this is a just trains route, and when it comes to the scenery and that, they're normally absolutely fantastic. Never really have anything to criticise them for, but yeah, in this case, unfortunately, there is. Up to 91.7, we are fairly shifting. This is quite a tight bend we're on. I was thinking maybe we should slow down, but this is a 100 mph section, so I don't think we really need to. But it does show the power of the engine in the 47/7. It did have some engine upgrades. But even with the amount of weight that we are pulling, we are very nearly, here we go, we're at 92.5. We're only 2.5 miles an hour off the maximum of that this thing can do. Granted, I think a 47/7 would be expected to pull a downside more than just 7 of these. Probably be like, 10 at least. And if it was a Class 69 we're in, which is pretty much what this looks like, it would probably be expected to pull getting on for 20 of them. I would not fancy driving that particular train, I'll tell you that. are still accelerating. Admittedly, the acceleration rate is very, very low at the moment, but it is still going. 94.7. We're just 0.3 off, but we've got to ease it off. Now, I do not think it's a good idea to just slam on the brakes. So we're going to have to ease into them. Keep going well below 80 because we have this 65 that's coming up. I've got to start braking a bit harder. I do not have the means to adjust the brake balance, so it's not that I can make sure that the brakes are set for goods. It's the same for all of them. So anyway, we are down to 65. We do need to continue going, and we have double yellows here. I really hope that does not mean we've got a red just before exiting the station. In fact, if memory serves, we had one in the first attempt, didn't we? Well, if this one is red, I've got to really start braking hard. Well, this first one coming up, we'll have a clue if it is a single yellow. This Exeter station is clearly Exeter St David's. Alright, I've got to start braking harder because this is single yellow. We haven't got far to go before the next signal. So yeah, there it is red. Oh. Okay. So we'll just creep along at about 15. The more I think about it, didn't I tab past these last time? I seem to think I did, yeah. Okay, so we'll get us up to 25. Into the 30 zone. 25 zone, going across here. Not sure which of these routes it's taking us. It's giving us a real sort of scenic sort of weaving around entrance. I can't see. Oh, that's us, isn't it? The green. Yeah. Okay. So we're all right there. So yeah, here we are through Exeter St David's. Seems like quite a nice station actually. Exeter seems like quite a nice town actually. Get ourselves back up to 25, soon be able to get some decent amount of speed up. In fact, we're now into a 30 zone. So we're entering the 75 zone. There we go, right. That 100 zone that's coming up in about a mile, I think that's the start of the last 100 mph zone that we will have. So we approach St Thomas station. I don't think there's any risk of us going above 75 before we enter that 100 zone, so we're perfectly okay so far. That's one thing I will say about this route that's very much in its favour, even though it is a bit annoying that we're having to restart the whole thing. Yeah, having to restart the whole thing from scratch, as we are now in the 100 zone, but it's a great route, so it's not that bad an issue. I can think of far worse routes to be, you know, making these multiple attempts on. I mean, I'll freely admit I'm not a big fan of the Huddersfield line, you know, the Transpennine route. So I wouldn't be too delighted if we were having to do multiple attempts on that line. But I think it was on that line that the 47.7 here first appeared. No, it wasn't. It was Shrewsbury Hereford, wasn't it? First appeared. I think it was its first and last up until now. Aha! We get the trackside view. That's a good one, that. Way out in the middle of nowhere. Well, okay, that side we're certainly not. This side, bugger all. No idea what town that is. I won't ask because I'm well aware that chances are no one's going to answer. So we have a speed reduction to 75 coming up. So I am pretty sure that means, yeah, the 100 MPH zones are now all behind us. I mean, it was only, what, about 5 videos ago that I last did this run, and I haven't got a clue. So there's the morphers board for it. There's no AWS signal for it though. We're below it anyway, so we are fine. I think it's fair to say that the horn is not the most impressive thing about the Class 47. As we approach the Cornish Riviera, Starcross Starcross station is yeah, about 1.25 miles along the line. Goes back up to 75 or thereabouts. Here we have Starcross Station. Beautifully scenic station, but not half as much as the next one. Next station is Dawlish. That does always look fantastic. In fact, yeah, we've got this, is it Dawlish Warren, is that the station as well? A 70 mph zone, a very short one, We were already below that anyway, but with freight runs it doesn't matter if you are a little bit late, just as long as you get there. Because I failed spectacularly on both fronts. The previous, I was very late and we didn't get there anyway. So yeah, the Dawlish caravan park. Caravan site, I should say. This isn't America. So yeah, it is Dawlish Warren, but we are on the avoiding line. There's a big old caravan site here. And then we have, yeah, the train carriages that have been refurbished. I mean, as much as I would like some sort of, like, you know, a weekend or whatever, doing things like train spotting and that, I'm not sure I'd want to be staying in a refurbished train carriage. So I'm hoping we can. I may have to need to brake very slightly. There you go. Make sure we are below. I must admit, I am rather pleasantly surprised that we've had none of the ramming from behind by any of the freight that we are pulling. Absolutely fantastic. Of course, I did make a mistake earlier calling this the Cornish Riviera. I mean, we're not even in Cornwall, it's a Devon Riviera. So here is Dawlish Station. I mean, even if you live here, surely you would never tire of, you know, watching trains going past on this section of the route. So very soon we'll be turning away from the coastline here. Cannot see a fucking thing over in this particular tunnel. I think that's the last of them. We're entering a 75 zone. We're well below that. Let's get some speed up because we re-enter a 60 zone just before Taunton station, so we'll accelerate up to 60, but no more than that. so far we are going pretty well. It actually feels like we're doing better here than we were in the first attempt. But of course, we haven't reached the really tough part yet. We are well over halfway though. Plymouth is about 37.5 miles away. I just caught that, I wasn't paying attention to the speedo. So here we are at Taunton station. God, that entrance really does look dodgy. Once we're into that 80 zone, we can certainly start really putting the power on. There we go, we're in the 80 zone. There we go. Now entering the 90. We're in it. Zone coming up. Ideally I want to lose that speed through coasting rather than through brake application, so yeah. So I can only assume it's around there somewhere that we leave the Riviera line. As that goes back down towards the coast, towards Torquay. And then Torquay and Paynton and all that. Looks like braking will be required. So Newton Abbot station coming up. So clearly this is not where we turn off. I forgot all about that station, and yeah, we go through there before we turn off the Riviera line. And really it's a bit of a misnomer. Okay, yes, it is known as the Riviera line, but it's still actually the South Devon line. So the part of it that could actually be called the Riviera line is only that small section that you know, goes down to Torquay and Taunton. Not sure what race course that is, but well, I'll take a wild guess at Newton Abbot, but I didn't know there was a Newton Abbot race course. I don't know why here is Newton Abbot station. Start to reclaim some of this speed we've lost. So we just passed the points that would take us on to the line to continue the Riviera, continue the stretch along the Riviera line, which of course we are not doing. So this is where we get to the first of the tricky sections. The Riviera line, well, actually carries on going. We're the ones that are doing the turning. It's quite a hefty turn we are going to make. So this uphill gradient actually is quite hefty, so let's get what speed we can before the gradient starts slowing us down. On a 1 in 57. Yeah, our speed is coming down. The thing is, at the moment we need it to, because we have a 55 MP8 section coming up. There we are, so we're all right for that now. Let's try and make sure that our speed loss is not quite so rapid. Here is the 55 section. So it's 1 1 in 56 uphill this particular gradient. We are losing speed, but not at too bad a rate. So we now have the gradient taking us down. I wish this speed limit was not so low. So it's 1 in 37 downhill. Really cannot brake on this sort of curve. I need it to be something I've got to yeah, I'm now speeding. So it's now 1 in 68. It's not quite so bad. Again, we didn't get the slamming from behind this time. The 1 in 55, it's got steeper again. Of course, we made it through this one fine in the first attempt. It was the second one that really, well, yeah, went rather disastrously wrong. So now 1 in 105, it's definitely levelling out. We are still gaining speed though. Steeper again, 1 in 76. I think we made it over that particular one, but of course we know the worst is yet to come. So we'll continue coasting, but once we're into that 60 zone we'll get it as close to 60 as we can. I think we can start accelerating here. So the next uphill gradient is, as you can clearly see, fast approaching, but this uphill section goes on for quite a while. This is where we get the floating viaducts and that, which is, it's a real shame. Through Totnes station through the avoiding line, we're speeding through there. There we go, we're all right now. So we're already on a 1 in 66 uphill. I'm pretty sure max throttle is just going to reduce the rate at which we're losing speed rather than actually gain us any speed. It's now 1 in 74, so it's not quite as steep. We're not losing any though, which is okay. The fact that we're not gaining any I can live with, especially as it's only 2.7 mph before we're at the, you know, max line speed anyway. Okay, so speed is coming down, but very, very slowly. Now 1 in 46 uphill. No wonder the speed is coming down. I wonder if sanding will help. Well, we can't use it, so yeah, that's obviously not going to help. notice there's a sander, you know, a very specific sander button here. It's AWS. Well, if there is one, I can't see it. So 1 in 52, it has eased off slightly, but yeah, that does not mean that 1 in 52 is easy, or 1 in 93 as it now is. It's still difficult enough. We are actually gaining speed here, which is, to put it mildly, quite a surprise. So Plymouth is now less than 20 miles away. Only just caught that. No idea where that light is coming from. Ground has leveled out again. Right, so we are about 10 miles away from ground zero of the first attempt. I think, yeah, this is the first of the floating viaducts. Yeah, I think it was around this sort of time I was getting a bit lulled into a false sense of security, thinking that maybe there wasn't going to be like a downhill section, or at least not a very steep downhill section at Plymouth, which of course made no sense at all, because Plymouth being a very major dockyard, it's not going to be, you know, way up above sea level, so yeah, it made no sense whatsoever that I was thinking we were going to be okay. Ivy Bridge station coming up, which is surely the penultimate station. I'm pretty sure I said that in the last attempt. Next viaduct. Yeah, see, that one's fine. I mean, admittedly it is a fairly short one, but still. We are now on a downhill section. It's very, very gradual. We're not even gaining speed on it. So here we are, Ivy Bridge Station. Very staggered platforms. get us to nearer to 60. Another very tall viaduct, and yeah, again, unfortunately, it's another one of those that's floating in the air. Very gradual descent, and Plymouth is now into single figures as far as distance, less than 10 miles. One in 170 downhill. Unfortunately, it does not stay that gradual. Next of the floating viaducts. I think it's the last of the floating ones as well. Right, well that 80 mph limit, the speed increase, it marks where, yeah, where the downhill section gets a lot steeper. Okay, so we do have another again. It wasn't intentional, but I have found myself, yeah, letting the speed drop. But this time I'll let the speed, because we're going to be in an 80 zone. I'll let the speed go up to 80. This downhill section goes on for quite some time. slowed right down to 45. That's purely down to the fact that I've just been coasting it. Because we have actually been going downhill for a while. It's just that, yeah, it's not particularly steep downhill. But it will be very soon. So we are entering the 80 zone now. So we're not going to throttle up. So we're in it. Straight away, 1 in 75. Speed is going up. But it's going to get a lot steeper than this. If the acceleration stayed at this sort of rate, I'd be okay, but I know it's not going to because we've got you know, steeper sections to come. Here we are, so it's now 1 in 43 to 1 in 41. We can still gain some 30 mph just fine. So the last attempt failed. Right here. So we've got further than we did in the first one. See where it's levelling out. We're up to 60 mph, we can still gain another 20 just fine. 5 miles from Plymouth now. Downhill section starting to level out. It's still very steep. But it's now in 3 figures, 1 in 111. It's got steeper again, 1 in 81. Because I've got to start braking fairly soon because there's this 60 mph section coming up. I don't mind telling you, I do feel quite tense here. Oh, I've got this far, I've got to get through it. Right, it's really easing off now. Let's start braking, get our speed down to 60. we've made it down there. It's now completely level. Does this mean we will actually do it? Mind you, look at this, we've got another uphill gradient coming up. There's no small uphill gradient either, it looks quite steep. So that's the Plym that I've just crossed. The train yard there. I can't remember which of the freight, it looks like DHL, but of course it won't be them. But Plymouth station is now on the route display. We're now on a 1 in 83 uphill. Let's get some speed up. We'll accelerate up to 55 at most. Stop, because yeah, we got to get down to 25 in just over half a mile. There's the AWS alert for it. There's the morphers board. Don't think I'm slowing down quickly enough. We're okay. So that's a single yellow. Just had the sign there saying no AWS for this remainder of this section. I can't see the signal. I can't see what colour it is. Okay, we're all right. That was a bump from behind there. Oh, if I had got a derailment then. Well, I think I can now say it, but yeah, we've done it. Second attempt, not a freight specialist train in an all-rounder. I think what that shows is, yeah, if you're delivering freight to an awkward location, use a British designed and built all-rounder train, not an American designed and built freight specialist. There we are. That is the route completed. That was Taunton to Plymouth in the GBR freight liveried class 47/7. That was great. Really did like that one, especially as I was actually able to complete it this time. Great one that, yeah. Let's have a look at how he did. I know I picked up a few speeding errors. Only 2. I will absolutely take that. So yeah, just 2 speeding errors on that entire run. Yeah, well pleased with that. That is a great one. Well, there we go. At the second attempt, we made it. So yeah, I'm well chuffed. Definitely off for a celebratory cup of tea. So that brings this video to an end, and we will see you at the next one.